we could say things like fucking shit right now and leave a problem.
Well, I might use that for my personal archive.
Oh, you make a soundboard?
Yeah, just
Is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. That's a good one. See, that's a one take right there.
say like 2 or 3 words.
Coltrane pays big money for that today.
What's that?
Each of us are saying 2 or 3 words and splicing it together like
Yes.
sentences.
It's like Homer Simpson with the clock in the background going to different times and everything that's sliced.
Seymour Butts.
What's that?
All right.
Oh, Seymour Butts.
Okay, let's come to order. Okay, let's do introductions and sign-ins. Actually, you should get the sign-ins, and then I'll take a picture of it. Sign your name and your email address and your phone number, the preferred one. Then if you're not on the executive committee already, Mimi will send you an invitation to join the email discussion list. If you could send me one to the Hotmail one again, that one never got on there. Yeah, I got Liberty Bell Claims got on there. Okay.
Let's see what name
Name, phone, and email. And from my point of view, if you're not my Facebook friend yet, you should be. I think everybody is except for Zachary. You're not on Facebook?
I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, you're not on Facebook. I like to keep track of it.
I'm on, but I'm not.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that. 'Cause I like to keep track of what people are up to. Like,
I don't show up to meetings.
if I see if some member of the committee is like off on some Hawaiian vacation or something, I might not to contact them at that time.
Taking his girlfriend to coffee in the middle of the meeting.
Good one. Okay, so meetings are passing around the list, and so if everybody could just introduce themselves real briefly, going around. I'm Ted Brown, the chair.
Jonathan J. Zachary Moore.
Guys, can you hear
Alex Appleby.
Ken Olson, Vice Chair, Northern.
Uber Shannon.
Jennifer Imhoff.
Robert Imhoff.
Where did you do it?
David Bowers. Aaron Bruno.
Steve Howe. Amy Robson.
Okay, is anybody missing here?
We have Susan Marie left early.
We have to.
See Eric Vaughn.
Yeah, we have our 2 alternates are sitting for Eric and Susan Marie.
So just to declare very clearly, to meet the 15 requirement, both alternates have been placed.
Correct.
Thank you.
And both can vote. Okay, take a look at the agenda. Delete the LNC report there in Star. And yeah. Okay. If anybody wants to add or delete anything?
Mr. Chair, I do not see to place the financial committee as prescribed by the bylaws that we must do that the first meeting after the convention.
Okay, we haven't had one of those in my memory, but we can talk about it. Let's put that.
Well, let's at least place it on the agenda to discuss.
Yes, let's put that after before budget there. Financial. What do we call it? Financial Standards Committee.
Oh, the audit committee. Yeah, the
Yeah,
financial
that used to be
standards.
called the audit
I
committee.
think I was the last person to serve on that committee. I think I was the only person to serve on the committee for a long time.
Yeah.
They locked me out of the office.
Another time they locked me out of the office because I trained, they locked me in the fucking office.
Who locked you out?
Fucking bro.
All right, orders of the day.
Yeah.
Any other adoptions?
Any objection to the adoption of this agenda as amended? Hearing none, it's adopted. Okay, we have the introduction, sign-ins going around. Election of the Operations Committee. This is the 5-member body that runs the, it's actually a subdivision. It can be a subdivision of the executive committee, but it's really the chair and any 4 party members. And this would take up party business between executive committee meetings if necessary. It's rarely used, but in case there's an emergency or something. And in the bylaws, it says that it can do all party business except for, and there's certain items that it can't do, like change the budget and remove officers or remove or expel members, these kind of things, some serious items. But it can do just the usual motions and things like that of regular party business. So
How many members, sir?
5 members, the chair and 4 other members. Sometimes in the past it's been all the officers, but that hasn't been the case all the time. So nominations are open for Operations Committee. Jonathan?
Nominate Boomer Shannon.
Okay.
If he's willing to serve.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, our treasurer.
Second.
Nominate Alex.
Okay.
Hang on, we're waiting for a second for Alex.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. No, I don't think that matters. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to nominate Robert.
Okay. More people wanting to serve on this than usual. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's like
Okay.
who's left out.
We'll have a brief little vote, and I'm going to ask some of our observers over there to count if they are willing. So votes were up to 4 members. Up to 4.
We still have vote tallies.
Actually, yeah, Jose and Jim.
I will volunteer to do it.
No, but what I'm asking is that the square ballots that we had, they should be floating around. We can use those sheets of paper to make
I
it.
know where they are.
Oh, here, I've
She
got
knows where they
paper
are.
here. I just was,
There's so few of us, we can just use any kind of paper. It's fine.
somebody could pass it down. Here you go. Here's some for you guys.
Whatever paper you want. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Who's the nominee?
Okay, the nominees are Boomer, Zachary, Mimi,
Where'd you get that
Steve,
paper from?
Alex,
You need more paper?
Yes.
Jonathan, and Robert. 4, up to 4.
Oh, no. Screwed that. Oh, that's not
Can you list the names one more time, please?
Okay, Boomer, Zachary, Mimi, Steve, Alex, Jonathan, and Robert.
each of those.
But I need a,
We're going to send them around.
you want me to pick them up?
No, just send them around. You don't get up.
Well, they need to go over to
Well, no, could our
Oh, they go to
counters pick
Jose?
them up also? One of you gentlemen
Oh.
pick these up? And we can thank Jose and Jay for doing that.
Yeah, I wonder whose votes those are. Wait, hold on.
Well, we're not gonna see.
Look at the bunny.
We're just gonna have.
No, I just to break the tension a little bit is all.
All right. Okay, so chair's report. I mean, I just gave one yesterday, but since then, I just wanted to report on our fundraising at the banquet. And we have $1,650
Oh, awesome.
raised, plus pledges of $55 a month.
How many pledges?
I forget how many people, but it's $55 a month.
Oh, totally.
In total.
In total, yeah. Okay, and some people here contributed. And I also have a payment for the hotel, one of the hotel rooms that somebody bought from us. So, yeah. However, we unfortunately, this will come up during the convention. We still have like 4 or 5 of them we had to pay for that we didn't rent out. Okay. No, I gave a couple of them away late last night. They're
Did you?
woeful people that didn't want to drive a long distance.
Point of information.
Yes.
In response to that, may I present anything related to the convention yet, or do you want to hold on?
I'll hold off for just a second on
Yes,
that.
sir.
And let's see. So, one thing, I guess me and the treasurer will arrange to get Steve on the bank account. And I don't know whether I should give him the money, or I can just deposit it down in LA for that matter, whatever is easier.
Yeah, as long as I get a record of it, so that I know what came in, who it came from,
Right.
and what it was.
Okay. That's always not going to be the easiest thing to figure out over the last few months here, I don't think.
Yeah.
But for this, I can give this to you because a lot of people are on credit cards. I think, and Mimi, are you able to do the credit cards on the ones that did contributions by credit cards?
I can put that through.
I can work with her as a
I can
deputy.
put that through Nina, through Neon.
Okay. So the payments that we have here total 125, 150, 650, 750, $790 that we have already have the payments. The rest is on credit cards.
Okay, well,
I can deposit.
once you give me the account number, I can.
We'll do it from then. I'll deposit.
I can do the deposits.
Yeah, I'll do the deposits, and then I will
did log in Neon, or at
Yeah,
least what I was
every-
taking, I was logging in Neon
Everything that I
as,
took in is in Neon as cash or a check.
Okay.
So it's already in Neon.
I'm gonna get very picky. I don't wanna have uncategorized income, so.
yeah. No, we even added in the comment fields what they were paying for, who
Yeah,
it's
if it was
attached to,
paying for it,
if it was a certain ticket, or if it was a donation, or,
Oh, perfect,
yeah.
Well,
Or if it was
yeah, if it's a
membership.
donation, we gotta be a little careful, because we need more information if it's $100 or more.
Okay, I think the only one that was a donation was $10.
Some people put those, I think people put
No,
those
there was
on
a
these.
$5.
Well, it's
I did
$100 more per year.
Oh, okay, so,
Per year, right?
Oh, that's someone's.
Per
Cumulative.
year. Per year, yeah.
Some of those were a year from any one source.
Yeah. Which is why we have to track
Some,
it.
a couple of them ask,
Yeah.
like Robert Jeffrey, how they're gonna do the pledge there. But like Robert Jeffrey's pledge didn't say how it was gonna be paid, so.
oh, that
We'll
was a
sort that
catch,
off.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it was a cash one that was in that pile.
Oh, that, you also pledged.
Oh, yeah, we'll sort that out.
Personally
Yeah.
pledged $10
Right.
a month, so.
Yeah, we'll take that offline. I'll get that
Okay.
squared with you.
All right, great. And so, I don't have anything else to report at the moment. We'll go on to, our Northern Vice Chair.
So,
What's happened in the last few hours?
yeah, we just heard the Northern Vice Chair's report from the outgoing Northern Vice Chair, but I just wanted to thank you all for your support and this opportunity to serve the party and help grow the party. That's really my main mission. I just want to see the party grow and advance and win elections, especially at the local level, so that's where it all begins. So that's where all my work and effort is going to be is getting on the ground and growing the party in those counties and in the local areas.
Okay, now, did Brian appoint Bill Merriman as Chair Pro Tem in Fresno, or are you gonna do that, or?
I will do that because I don't know if Brian did officially.
Okay, so, Paula Barefoot resigned as Chair Pro Tem, and Bill Merriman is a new guy, who wants to run for Congress against, the now notorious Devin Nunes. I said, we also, that's next year. This year, we need a new chairman in Fresno, so he was interested in getting the party organized, because obviously, if you're gonna run for office, you should have a party organization too.
And I also have somebody that's interested in Tulare County.
Oh, okay, very good.
So,
What's
the
the
wall.
name of the pro temp chair in,
Bill Merriman, Merryman.
In Tulare County, it's Rick DeWalt.
No, we put it down anyway, because that was, we can also take pictures of this if you want. Is that Z dash more? Okay. That's. Old Nashville University or something?
Ohio, no.
Okay.
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, now we'll go to Southern Vice Chair, Jonathan Jake.
I don't have anything new. I did talk about the counties. Still have Gail Lightfoot as chair pro tem in the Center Disability. Michael Warnke is still chair pro tem in Santa Barbara. Current recently had another election, so they kept that organization going after a year with a meeting, and that's good. Every other county is in stable condition. San Diego's kind of got a rebirth with Eddie Dern and some others being elected there. Did anyone see anyone from San Diego here?
Can I speak to that for a couple of moments?
Yeah, please.
I've been in contact with Barry Fuchs, Susan B., and Alicia in San Diego, and I'm going to be heading down and doing a supper club for them and speaking down there. And part of that, me coming down to San Diego, is for them to talk about reaffiliating with the Libertarian Party of California. They're currently in a disaffiliated state. It's a long, drawn-out story that I don't really want to get into, but I would like to see us move forward in getting them back into the fold. It's kind of been my personal goal since I was Southern Vice Chair a number of years ago.
Now, something you said surprised me, though, that I know they're practically, for all practical purposes, they're disaffiliated, but I'm not aware that there's been a vote or action by the executive committee to disaffiliate.
Can I ask a question?
It was done a long time ago. It never been reaffiliated.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Because I've been working with
what I was going to bring up, yeah.
So I was under the understanding that they were affiliated. They're not, then what does that mean?
Well, that means they've been accepting a lot of dues money, 100%, but they didn't tell us who those numbers were in some cases, though.
Well,
Well, I guess
that's
the-
what I've told Jim on,
Right.
but some of those members I've been put into the database now as members.
So, well, I guess the question is that, you know,
They've got money.
are we in a position that we want to try and seek any damages for any of that stuff? I don't think that we should. I think we should just move on and what is a wash is a wash and build a new relationship with them. They have a rather large donor base and a pretty active party. I'd like the permission to go down there and make nice with those guys.
Sure,
And,
absolutely.
and encourage them to make a motion and in support of the Libertarian Party of California to reinstate their.
I don't see why they shouldn't be. I mean, they have meetings, they have newsletter, I mean,
They meet all the only criteria they don't meet is that they were, you know, victims of some bad politics a long time ago.
Well, we could reaffiliate them, but they do
Wait,
everything.
wait a minute, though, they need to be, so if the minutes are, show, you know, from the past that they haven't been disaffiliated, then they have not been disaffiliated.
I've been in contact with Felicia and Jim, and I didn't know they were displayed. Plus,
They might not
they were
know.
supposed to be sending 3 people that didn't end up being able to come.
Right.
Because
So Mr. Fuchs was supposed to arrive with us, and then Susan and her husband were supposed to fly, but they had some changes of plans.
Right, because I knew they were sending 3 people to the convention, so nobody that I ever talked to was saying anything about being, do they know they're
They
disaffiliated?
may not, it'll
Yeah,
be just new. and-
Mr. Fuchs is aware of the situation. He and I talked about that because Dixon had brought it up to me.
What year would they disaffiliated?
It was just before I got started. It was like 2004, 2005.
They've probably gotten new dues payments since then, I would imagine.
I know that we're backed up, right? Because when Elizabeth was treasurer and we had started working with those guys, they had claims for a bunch of money that was supposed to be.
Jim said he just hasn't got money in 2 years.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, we have to be able to. We have to. I think in theory, if we really want to do this properly, we should probably balance the books the best we can. But if there's no books to be had, we're not sure where things are at. We just ask them for the database, call it a wash, and move on.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we want
But
to,
I am working.
yeah.
I mean, I've given him all of the information from San Diego. He was supposed to get his meeting by the end of this month, and he told me he didn't quite finish it, you know, medical stuff.
I'm due to go down there in a couple of weeks. I'll talk to them by phone and make sure everything's taken care of. You know, the minutes from those times are probably sparse and
Yeah, it depends on who did them, yeah.
well, and the administration previous and what they did with them.
True, I think Bo's minutes were there, are posted, I guess. I'm not sure he was secretary the whole time or not.
Well, no, there's lots of times where there were
I
people,
think
but I'm not
make
sure.
statements about whether they're affiliated or disaffiliated,
Especially,
because
what
they
they,
don't seem to know.
well, especially if he said that it's been 2 years since he got some dues, that means if he got them 2 years ago, that means that somebody didn't know that he was disaffiliated and paid him.
Point of
that was-
information.
It sounds like a giant mess in
does,
terms
it
of
does.
that, or it's
Exactly.
simple.
Point of information?
Yes.
It sounds like we're getting into the weeds here in the
Yeah,
executive
we
meeting.
should- we
Can we
don't-
just take
Okay,
a
well,
sideline?
I would like some direction and action for how to proceed from the committee.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, I would suggest that we assume that they remain affiliated and we give them their dues proportionate.
I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's an excellent idea. I would like to, do we need to make a motion for that?
Is there a motion?
Well, should I still just keep continuing?
All right, I think we need a motion. Excellent.
Nothing's
We're
changed.
already actually.
Yeah, I don't think we made it. If the vice chair wants to partner with it, I don't know if there's a motion. If the vice chair wants to partner with this in San Diego, I don't think there's a motion requiring it because
Right,
he's
okay, all right,
delegating it.
okay.
What do you wanna do?
So is there a motion?
We don't need a motion, nothing has changed, and I think, you know, we'll do outreach as you suggested.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have no problem with you doing what you can do.
Okay, Jose, what's the result of the outcome election?
This is from highest to lowest. Alex, 11 votes. Hoover, 10. Mimi, 9. Robert, 8. And then Steve, 7. Jonathan, 6. And Becky, 5.
Got it, so myself, Boomer, Mimi, Alex, and Robert are the outcome. Okay, very good. Now, let's go to the secretary's report. What's happened since the convention ended here?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your report, by the way. I just wanted to.
Well, did you have any further report?
No, I'm done.
I came back.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
No more expo meetings after 420.
420 again. What's 420 again?
You need to talk Saturday versus Sunday?
Off the top of my head, we had more people today than we had yesterday.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's
Yeah.
81
Yes.
delegates
Yesterday
yesterday?
It was 80,
75 yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
75
81
yesterday,
today.
81 today.
Hey,
And
fancy,
actually, we
fancy.
ended up going up to 82 in the afternoon.
Okay, no,
We
it
had
makes
an
sense.
additional person come in and then get certified before we started after lunch.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Excellent.
That's
Do
more
we
than,
know if you guys made any money on the convention?
oh, we'll get to that in a moment, I think, as much as we can. Okay, treasurer's report. Now, Steve, you like balanced the books and gotten all the payments taken care of? So,
Yeah.
Right now, I don't have a clue.
Maybe you
Come on,
provided
let's wait.
Stardust with the report that he was asking about last time.
Start now.
Start child. I'm sorry.
Obviously, I need to get a hand of, I don't know where the books are at, I don't know what they look like, I don't know what the FDPC account number is, so I can go in and look at it online, signature authority on the checking account,
Okay.
and just where things are at, so I can look at the books and figure out how much I have to redo, just to make sure that things make sense or done correctly.
Exactly.
I saw the 2016 financial statements, and I think we're in pretty bad shape, because it was like 21% of the income was uncategorized.
Well, we still have the income. We just didn't know what to do with it, right? That's the,
Well, I don't even know if the income is accurate, but for me as treasurer, I would see all income in a category, so you know where it came from, and if anything has to go back, we know how much was there that came in, and expenses, we need to be able to track that. When we get into spending money for growing membership, we need to know, we'll be able to track how much we're putting out and how much we're getting back in, just to see how much, well, I call it the bang for the buck that we're getting. And if something has worked in the past, we ought to try it again. If somebody has more ideas on how to raise membership, hey, I'm all in. That's the number one thing. It's like we don't have enough money. We need more members. We need to grow. So that's my own personal priority.
well, we haven't had all that many expenditures over the last year. We haven't done very much. Just some monthly charges for various databases and a few other, and for the e-filing for the, supposedly for the FDPC. There's like filing charges and everything.
$50 a year.
Yeah, well, actually ours are more.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's some kind of monthly charge or something. But, yeah, and she has many numbers. But the convention expenses were extremely large. We pretty much almost cleaned out the bank account. However, we're good about Eventbrite's going to pay us, what, by like Thursday or something?
Yeah, Thursday, the check will clear.
Yeah, so we'll have that. So I don't know exactly how much we have now, but as soon as we get to the convention, we'll talk about some of the expenditures and income and everything. Because I've been worried about making money on it, but I don't think we're going to lose much. If we did, we might have made something. So we'll learn about that in a moment. For the treasurer, a few months ago, when it was apparent that Gail was not responding to anything, I went to Wells Fargo Bank. My name's on the bank account, and one thing I'd never done before, I got a debit card for the account, and I got myself on online banking and got the bank statement switched to our office down here. And so I've been able to keep track of the bank statement and see what's coming in and what's going out and all. And I've been able to make some expenditures when necessary, so there's no need to find Gail. Now the question is, though, he has the physical checks, but we probably could get some new ones if necessary, and switch the so you can write the checks. There's a lot of them. Well, I don't know how many checks we have to write. A lot of it's electronic, but a few here and there we're going to have to write a check to somebody, especially for the regions when we have with the counties when we have the.
We also
I think
have,
we need to get the books in shape
Right.
before we can
Oh, yeah.
start making expenditures.
Exactly.
Like I said, I don't know what the books look like. But I have some ideas too on maybe cutting down expenses statewide, for taking like electronic payments. Could all the counties standardize on, say, PayPal or something else, and then as a state negotiate a better fee rate with PayPal or Square or whoever we choose.
Something you could work on? Yeah, certainly. Yeah, Johnson.
About the agenda, I think the candidates for the committee.
No,
be on this
I
agenda
haven't
either.
planned to put anything in on that. We can,
So I just asked a question, and since there was sort of a relationship between the treasurer there and the outgoing treasurer.
maybe we should talk about that. Let's put on the, is any objection to adding the candidate support committee? There's a
motion to add candidate support committee to the agenda?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and where would you place it?
Well, how about next?
Okay.
Okay. For 10 minutes.
And we don't necessarily have to do any business.
No, we don't.
don't have to adjourn.
Well, we'll see. We'll do it correctly. Any objection to that? Okay. Now we're back to the, you were going to ask about on the treasurer's.
Yeah, we have a couple of people that are working for us that have been paid, and that needs to be settled as well.
Correct. Sandra Calendar needs to be paid.
I believe, my understanding is that we are going to use the invoice that her boss took the hit on that.
True. So Elizabeth Brierly is going to bill us.
So, yeah, but I would like to, Elizabeth has been very good to us for a very long time. And she's also in the judicial committee, so we want to get that paid off pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm very big on getting bills paid on time.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not here to twist your arm about it. I just want to make sure that you're aware of the situation there and that it's been backlogged for quite some time.
She hasn't actually billed herself for the newsletter at all.
Yeah.
So that might be backed up notably, which I guess she figured, well, I'm not going to get paid anyhow, so why not? Why bill it? But now she's going to get paid. So we.
That's a good question. I guess if I have information about something that Gail is in charge of, I don't know that it's necessarily a treasurer thing, but he's in charge of all of our at ca.lp.org
Yeah.
email addresses.
I would like to. I don't know whether he's going to be malicious or not at this point. So I'd like to get as much away from him as possible. Like me to take him off the bank account and.
Chair, who would you like to delegate that task to?
Well, let's see.
I would like to have a discussion about that.
Okay.
But maybe we can table that for a second.
I think
But
there's
actually a question.
Correct.
Though.
Yes. So
What-
I want to
question, though,
suspend it.
Well, the technical question would be is ca.lp.org email address. If he controls it, where is it to be controlled? I guess is the question.
That's my question.
Yeah.
He's the one that is able to, no, the ca.lp.org is our.
Division of National.
Yeah, but right now, for assigning those email addresses and for directing those email addresses, I'm of the understanding that Gail is the only one who can do that.
I got some of our campaigns to check over from Gail. I haven't known where to do that, but I can reach you and get over to me and see if the property, some of that is.
Oh, great.
Okay, great, because that's something that actually should be under the secretary.
Point of information for Tyler. LNC has delegated to the state party ca.lp.org DNS records, and thus we have full control over them to do what we'd like.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we should probably do, because each of the, for example, treasurer at ca.lp.org should now go to Steve, and secretary to Mimi, and I already have chair, and then North Vice Chair and all that, and also our names. So when we put on the website, we don't put your regular email address. We put like Appleby@ca.lp.org or Imhoff at ca.lp.org, and then we go to whichever email you pointed to on the list that you just signed. So we want to make sure we can do all that, unless you don't care that your own personal email's on the website.
Mr. Chair, am I to understand that Jason Moore would track that down? Very good.
Yeah. So let me know soon on that, if you can, because you have to be good to bypass him as much as possible.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a point of information
Yeah.
about the bank accounts. And this is very critical. I have become chair of the Santa Clara County Libertarian Party, and it took us approximately 3 months to figure out how to sort out the bank accounts and convert them. We also use Wells Fargo.
Okay.
And so when we went in to convert from the old treasurer to myself, they required that we have the meeting minutes from when the treasurer became the treasurer on letterhead for the party.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a point of information that if you want Mr. Haig, I'm never going to get this right. Haug. If you want Mr. Haug to become the treasurer and be converted over on the bank accounts,
right,
you are going to need to approve the meeting minutes for the convention, print them on letterhead of the state party, and then put them in his hand before that can happen. So I want to stress the urgency of, and I know Mimi, there's a lot moving parts, but the urgency of getting the meeting minutes completed, submitted, and then everybody here electronically voting via email to approve those, so that way we can get the bank account back in our control.
Well, the bank won't know if they're approved or not. But the point
Fair
is,
enough.
I was thinking it was just going to be like a letter on our letterhead from the secretary saying that these were our officers.
show that it was him and now it's this person. So even if they're not approved, if we want to go forward with that,
Okay.
you're going to have some sort of meeting minutes
Right.
to demonstrate that Steve is now our treasurer, and it has to be printed on letterhead.
Okay.
I don't have our letterhead.
Oh, I just made one up. So,
I have
Yeah.
something I've created.
yeah,
I mean, I can create something too.
Oh,
If you have something
I'll
you've
send you
created,
my
that'd be
template.
great.
Yeah.
yeah, I made one up too. I mean, it's real easy to put
Well, I
this.
could do it too,
Yeah.
but I mean, it has to be something official. I just
Thank you,
don't
Mr.
want
Chair.
to, like,
Yeah.
get it willy-nilly.
And I want to do that. I want to get him on there soon.
Yeah.
Actually, I could get Gail off. No, I probably can't get Gail off before I put him on.
That's correct.
For the signatures,
Yeah, because I know we went to, how did we do that when Emily and I went to the bank 2 years ago together, but because neither of us were on the account, we must have had the minutes. We must have had the minutes to do that. I forget that.
Maybe we take that offline, maybe?
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll do that. That's fine. Sorry, it's going over too much. Okay, that's all for the treasurer then. For the candidate support committee, we are now in recess for the executive committee, and we're going to go into session as the candidate support committee, which is a different organization completely. Oh no, actually, before we do.
I have to actually.
Before we
make sure
do.
everybody's on.
Yeah, exactly. Before we leave the executive committee needs to appoint the candidate support committee, and it's usually the executive committee. So, is there a motion to that?
With a different treasurer.
With a different treasurer.
Correct.
We're just talking about names now. The names of the executive committee members are the candidate support committee. Is there a motion to that effect?
If I may, get a point of information.
Yes.
Alternate at-larges, where do they stand on that matter?
You wouldn't be. It would be Susan Marie and Eric would be the proposed members there.
May I make a motion to add Baron Bruno specifically to the candidate support committee?
That's true. Do we say anything about the makeup of the committee on that just traditional? Let's see.
I think it's 20.
I'm hearing a second from
Well, no,
Alex.
first we were looking at the bylaws to see if.
If they permit this, I could be
Yeah, there's something about the bylaws on that.
If it's allowed,
I specifically nominated him from alternate, so that way he could be on that committee.
Oh, here we go.
if you can, he does all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Where would it be? I have it open.
Bylaws, hold on. Support committee. Under committees, bylaw 15. Let's see.
Campaign financing.
Yeah, that might be it.
Just says financing. They shall establish one or more party campaign fund, which funds may be allocated to candidates of the party.
That's the one.
Such funds shall be independent of any campaign funds maintained by the county central committees or other committees of the party. The campaign committee shall have the discretion to allocate campaign funds amongst various candidates. Campaign funds may be used to support party candidate campaign publicly, specifically not promoting any individual candidacy. That may happen.
Good, it doesn't say how many.
That may not be it then, that may not.
No, I think that, I had proposed a motion to disband the candidate support committee before because I believed under this bylaw it's permissible and I thought it was redundant and unnecessary and the purpose for having it had no longer existed. I still believe that's true, but I'm not making that motion right now. I think we'll sort things out before we
Right.
change it
But
like
it
that.
doesn't say that we have to have all 15 people on the committee.
The committee could be anybody.
No, it just says,
They-
I mean, you can, as, chair shall appoint voting jury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but-
the pleasure of the
I think
Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing anywhere where it specifically calls out a campaign committee specifically.
No,
Correct.
that's under section 1, the chair can appoint working committees and.
It's not
Well, I just mean
required.
there's no specific thing in the bylaws that
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
identified the campaign committee, so it's at your discretion.
Exactly. So I would prefer to have a smaller committee, because 15 people on a committee, well, except for this one, of course, is probably an unwieldy amount. So, yeah, I would like to, I will appoint like a 5-member committee. If there's no objection from the body, including Barron, who's going to be on who would be the candidate support committee.
The only objection I have is that I still hold my original motion that I have a motion to strongly suggest you select Baron.
Oh, I'll select him. I just said I
Okay.
would. But now that brings
Then
up.
I'll withdraw that.
Yeah. Now that brings up another issue, which is still the executive committee, I believe, which is the treasurer of the candidate support committee, who is Stephen Blakeman of Yolo County, is the chairman, is the treasurer, and he's a friend of Gail Morgan's and has been rather problematic in making payments. So I would hate to put anything.
Point of
any more money in
information, as the person who created the committee and appoints people to the committee, do you have the ability to disband said committee?
Well, the executive committee did appoint him as treasurer, so could unappoint him.
So another point of information, if we were to make a motion here to formally disband the former one and dissolve everybody out of it and then recreate a new
Point
one.
of information, point of information, there's a committee, there's an actual party committee at the Secretary of State for that.
More continuity.
So it would be more
Understood.
than just us
Yeah, I just want to get information
dissolving
on
it.
that.
We'd have to go through
pushing
the
it.
Secretary of State, we'd have to
Mr. Chair?
disband that
So
committee, we'd have to
okay.
do a lot more work.
We
Have
just
you
changed the
spoken-
treasurer.
Have you spoken to Mr. Blakeman?
I have not spoken with him recently. He sustained a large fine in the committee. I still don't know whether it's really his fault or not. I can't tell because I don't understand what they did or what they did. But that
Has anybody spoken to Mr. Blakeman?
not recently, not since he made the last expenditure. A few months
Give
ago.
me his phone number.
Sure. I think I have it.
Yeah. Idea.
I'm going to take this moment in a little bit of a personal privilege here. Last session this committee was together last year, we had a couple of situations that happened that people needed to be out for whatever reason, one reason or another. Not going to go into details, doesn't need to happen. The person that was making the motion to remove these people would not even make the phone call. Would not even make a phone call to the person to ask them to resign. Right, and I would like to make it very clear that my expectation of all of you, for whatever it's worth, is that if there's a situation that needs to be resolved, I expect you guys to pick up the phone, send an email, send Facebook, go to their house, whatever you need to do to resolve that problem before you take your drama to this committee and ask somebody else to vote on it.
Well, in this case, Boomer, I didn't even intend to put this on the agenda or to change the treasurer or anything like that.
This is not. I am being very careful to avoid any accusational tone in this.
No, I didn't mean that. But it was like
I am speaking about a very vague thing.
Yeah.
But with a very specific ethic.
Right.
And that is that the people that are volunteering to serve here, their time should be honored, whether they're doing their jobs or not. And I think that you guys should all deeply consider that before you make motions to just get rid of somebody or purge somebody. That's not the first time I've heard it this weekend.
I agree with
I certainly don't want to hear it anymore on this committee. We're all mature enough, we're all smart enough to be able to make these problems solve themselves without having to defame someone to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so back when the payments weren't being made to me and Darren, I asked him to resign, and so we could appoint someone that actually would make payments, but he declined to do so, and no action was taken. He finally made the payments. So after he didn't believe that we had authorized them, even though the chair said this is what happened at our meeting, but it was during that time when minutes weren't getting approved.
Do you have a month, year time frame for that, sir?
Last year.
Sometime last year?
Last
I don't know
fall.
if you can narrow it down.
Last fall.
Okay,
Yeah,
last
fall,
year's check,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was campaign season. It was
Yeah.
because we cut your check, but that was problems, right? We had all kinds of fucking issues getting that thing through.
Yeah. Maybe the best thing would be just to ask if he wants to continue as treasurer.
That's what I was intending to
We
do.
didn't get it till
We did. This is where it gets tricky. Are you in a situation where you don't want to work with him? We can ask him to resign.
I would rather. I did that before. He didn't want to, but he's still.
I'm hyper diplomatic.
I know, but if you could ask if he still wants to serve or not, maybe he didn't want to go out when.
Do you know him?
If we may, can we,
Yeah, introduce yourself that you've been elected Northern Vice Chair and say.
I mean, if you know him personally,
Mr. Chair, if we may, can we,
Can you do that, and then we'll come back to that in just a moment here.
thank you. So, Mr. Chair, if you may, can we just suspend the treasurer discussion and move on to appointing people to the committee?
Yeah, exactly.
Move forward.
Well, I was going to, if you would say it's okay, I'll just appoint a 5-member
Yeah.
candidate support committee, and then, however, with the treasurer being one that has to be in the minutes, I would wait, if we're going to appoint another treasurer, then the executive committee should appoint the actual
We
treasurer.
move to suspend candidates to the end of this meeting then.
Okay. Any objection to postponing the rest of this report?
Does this committee actually have to appoint the treasurer of this?
I don't think that's
Because it's something for the bank is going to have minutes. Yeah, that's the only reason. It has to be the
But the
same.
candidate support, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but point of information,
Right, exactly. But the only time when we go into candidate support committee is to discuss the business of the candidate support committee, but the executive committee appoints, or the chair appoints the candidate support
No,
committee. It's kind of a hybrid.
I just trying to figure out what he was saying, because are we now moving to
There's
put
a-
this agenda item to that?
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor to suspend this to the end of the meeting. And then there's a point of information from Boomer pending.
Yeah, point of information.
I've lost my train of thought. I was chasing that down, trying to make sense of it. and
Okay, well, we'll bring it back at the end of the
I'll
meeting.
second it.
Any objection to that?
Oh, I'm not changing.
Okay, we'll move it towards, to the end there. Okay, let's see, the office. Boomer, what's going on in the office?
Excuse me, what?
Oh, the office, what's going on in the
Sorry,
office?
we moved to the officers, office.
The office is doing fantastic. As you guys know, we have a beautiful office in sunny Monrovia, California. You guys, those of you who have not yet been there, we're probably going to be doing our next executive committee in that building. We are collecting mail and things are operating smoothly. The activists are popping in and out and doing things. A lot of this has been convention and stuff, getting things prepped for that recently, but we're looking forward to doing a bit of outreach. We've got some new hot blood in Southern California stirred up by the convention, and we're going to put people to work getting on those folks. So, John, you're in charge of the office. Anything you want to say?
Yes, we had some issues getting budgeting for the equipment that we use.
Oh.
Right, and then Robert pointed out we can purchase a whole set of equipment for less than it costs.
Audio visual.
We didn't, so it's appropriate, I thought, that since this would become equipment that would be in the office, we could use it. And it was agreed that, I talked to Frank Beamer and we agreed, well, we can take money out of our office budgets to pay for this. We had was it an Omcom meeting? Or we had a meeting with the treasurer, with Gail on the phone, and authorize that amount. I don't know whether, because things are such a mess, which budget bucket came out of.
I'm not sure about that
No.
either. We're gonna have to do that, but
Yeah.
we just pay for it with my debit card for the party, so
Okay.
the treasurer didn't have to even have his fingerprints on it.
Point of information, the operations committee did approve it. We just did not fully approve which budgets it would come out of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
So we
There's
will,
some convention maybe.
we'll reconcile that
Right.
at a later time.
Yes, okay. So, there was some question about whether we could get, there was what about your, the copy machine you just bought? What's gonna happen with that?
Yes, the party, as part of reducing costs for printing agendas and schedules and everything, we reduced the cost to the convention from $1,300. That was spread across 5 different vendors, all averaging about $1,300 for materials. We're able to reduce that to $378 with the purchase of an actual printer.
The question is, what are we gonna do
Now,
with the copy?
that printer has been asset tagged and added into the inventory of the Libertarian Party. It is up to the North and South Vice Chair to determine if either one of them feels appropriate to take possession of it. So I'll let you two duke out who wants.
Well, there is an office to put it in, if there's room. Is there room in the office for that? And it's not like a biggie that we're
Well,
talking about.
the bigger question is, do you have space
Yeah.
to take it to stay, or can we sort that? Can I just bring it to the next exec.com meeting?
Are we talking cat, dog, horse?
It's right here on this table.
Oh, that big ass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a great deal on that from this crazy company you might have heard of called Overstock.com. They were able to give it to us for $175 instead of its retail price of $800. So
That's really
very
overstocked,
nice. It's
yeah.
a very nice piece of equipment.
No.
It's going into a bigger box than that for safety.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, ours is the same way. We just,
I can.
Might be in the shoes, so if I can go with
How about if I just propose that we will start with the North equipment until the next meeting, and then we'll assert on record today that the North will make sure that the Monrovia
I
office
can
will receive
hold
it
on
at
to
the
it.
next
I've got room in
executive.
my car, so I can hold on to it and bring it to the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
The question might be is, we're going to be open stuff, have some room for taking stuff around the office.
Or a bigger question is, in the next 3 months, do you suppose you're going to use it?
Oh, yeah.
what, the printer?
Yeah.
Maybe 6 or 7
We've been doing,
times.
we've been doing all the printing in the house. There.
Let's take this offline and sort out how, we just know it'll be
Yeah,
down
this-
to,
yeah, this
the
is-
South has chosen to accept it, and the North has not disagreed with that point, and we'll figure out the details later.
Then also to figure out which AV equipment will stay in the North and which AV equipment.
So we've already sorted that out offline.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Stop by there tonight.
All right, so that's the office. 26 2017 State Convention, very important here. Talk about our finance.
Sir, you said you struck LNC report from the record.
We did, correct.
Okay. Who would you like to delegate to? What's constructed from the agenda?
Constructed the agenda.
Well, just because Aaron disappeared doesn't mean that Jeff is.
Well, he wasn't there.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. There
He
you go.
wanted to review his notes.
I did not know that.
Point of information, who would you like to speak on behalf of the 2017 convention?
You'd be fine, or Jennifer would be fine?
Okay, we will share that data.
Okay, so it's a matter of like revenues versus.
I'll begin with Jennifer to discuss revenues from ticket sales from Eventbrite first.
Okay.
From Eventbrite, we received about, let me see here, $11,786. We also documented $825 that we received from mail-in sources. So that was counted into Eventbrite. We manually entered those. And then again, there is about $700 in cash that we received to the front registration.
And what about the ones that I went through Neon yesterday?
The credit cards
Transactions I
transactions,
did yesterday, they weren't.
that is not counted for. So we have quite a few credit card transactions that were run directly through Neon that we haven't told you yet. And
Do you have an estimate of what they might be?
Based on numbers.
$300, $500?
I would say above 100.
Above $500.
Okay,
Okay.
that's about.
Above $500 in Neon Direct. And we can
Yes.
run reports in Neons to extract exactly how much that was.
Yeah, I've got to look at them because they were putting them in outside, so we can look at them.
Okay.
Well, so we're just a little over 13,000 probably in revenues then.
Probably above that, probably more in the neighborhood of 14.5.
That's not counting T-shirt sales. That's not counting donations collected at the banquet.
Okay, if you want to commit, consider donations to be part of the convention.
So then add another 1,600 to that 14.5. And then T-shirt sales. Do you have a report on T-shirt sales?
195.
195 from T-shirt sales.
How many t-shirts do we still have?
I don't have the exact inventory. We have a bunch of yellow shirts still, but not everybody took a yellow shirt, right? So
Right.
we ended up with more inventory than we expected. But I think we sold probably a third of them, so
What's your cost on the shirts, sir?
600.
No, your per unit costs, sir. Sorry.
600 was the cost of the shirts.
Per unit.
Per
How much
unit?
you sure
Oh,
cost?
600 divided by 50 is like 12.
$12. So if there's an opportunity here to buy a shirt for above $1,200, so we can at least try and recoup. Consider
I was selling them for 25 to recoup.
We can sell them. We can sell the non-activist ones later though, because they're general, right?
Yes.
I'm going to sell the activist ones
Yeah,
too.
we can, but I mean, anytime we can sell the other one. Yeah.
I just want to point out to everybody that's here today, if you want to make a donation above $12 for a shirt, please consider doing that to help recoup costs to the pretty.
Okay.
I'll be getting
Okay. Pretty good. We can take that part offline then. Okay.
Oh, you have to ask him.
Patriots Panels, Alex, how many? And I just do a half hour short or a short amount. Oh, I have 195 and we spent 600. So $400 short. $400 short of current cost.
I will donate $400 if you put those shirts towards handing out to people as swag in order to build relationships.
Same difference.
I have no objection if he's going to give $400 today, so we can
We can give the shirt away to people to promote the party.
Sure. That sounds great. Thank you, Matt. That's excellent. Thank you. Okay. And then our expenditures.
Expenditures we're still rolling the numbers in, but the expenditures were around $22,000. And I'm being honest with the numbers here. So it was 22,000. Like people bought food, but they paid for food for a ticket, but we still have to pay for that. So I'm counting approximately $8,600 in food costs. This is off the top of my head. I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but the mass total was about $22,000 to run this convention.
And what about the hotel room loss there?
That's included in all that.
Okay.
I factored all those numbers into it. So we didn't book enough rooms, so we were charged a little over $1,500 for not booking the rooms. And we recovered a little bit of the money for that, for renting out some of the rooms, because we just collected the rooms and then just issued them. But the big number you probably want to hear is not factoring in donations received, not factoring in T-shirts, not factoring in people who made purchases day of. So Thursday at 11:59 p.m., we are at a $4,600 deficit for running the convention. Thursday. Now, hearing the numbers here of how we collected everything, we're probably either darn close to zero or maybe even positive. And
Are you sure? It sounded like, what, like 1,500? I thought it was still like in the twos or threes there, deficit.
I'm pretty sure once we crunch all the numbers,
Oh, well, let's
it's hard to say without having it directly in front of me. I apologize for not having the exact numbers directly in front of me, but I'm pretty sure we'll be pretty close to net zero. We might even break a profit. And if we do break a profit, it'll be the first time, I believe in research, in 7 years that we actually did not cost the party money for running a convention. So that will be exciting to announce if it's true.
I thought we were okay last year.
Last year, it turned out, as the information came in, the cost of the party about $4,200. Again, if we're being honest with the numbers of how things actually work running a convention, it was about $4,200 that was not accounted for and not recovered.
I thought that were being reported to the committee. That's curious. Okay.
I'm an honest guy with an honest living. I'm trying to be honest about everything. And in doing research, I discovered that the party could not account for $4,200 in cost from last year's convention with some sort of monies to offset it during the convention. So hopefully this will be the first time maybe that we're going to be green in about 7 years. We'll see. We should know in approximately 2 weeks. It'll be sooner than that, but I'm going to give us 2 weeks to give you a report.
Okay, well, just send an email to the committee and let us know the balance sheet kind of.
Okay, so that's the financials of the convention.
Oh, okay, excellent.
So that's the financials of the convention. I believe we have about 3 minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like us to discuss for the convention? Bruno has a point of information.
Just wanted to know, is there anything, any other sort of highlights that you want to add that worked, didn't work, anything, recommendations for?
Well, I did want to highlight some key things of numbers. Last year we had 67 registered delegates as the max. By the numbers that I've been able to dig up, and of course anybody from the galleries that know more than me can, do a point of information and correct me, but I believe this is a 5-year high for eligible delegates.
Oh, yeah, what they do is excellent, yeah.
And also we were able to, through the process of running this convention, this is kind of a sidebar footnote, but through the process of running this convention, Jennifer and Mimi were able to do a lot to get people's dues squared, fix people's reoccurring donations in the system. Like as we're going through, like, hey, wait, you had this reoccurring thing, but it's been declining for the last 6 months, kind of thing. And I believe we've been able to recover up to about $4,000 in a year of recurring revenues as a result of this process. So while it's not directly, we can't count it in the convention, there's about a $4,000 floor of revenue that will constantly, we turn the spigot back on as a result of being very low to the ground with organizing the convention. So that's a good side effect of this convention process.
Yeah.
So attendance has been up. Total conference attendance, I believe, was about 121.
Oh,
In total unique bodies at the convention, I believe it's over 120, which is also,
I think that's more than last year when we had presidential debates and everything.
that's correct. So for a so-called down convention,
Yeah.
we did better than an up convention.
But part of that, though, is from because, as Mimi noted, we have higher membership, so more people were notified and would have a reason to come because they could be delegates to the convention. So many more people than could have been last year. So that's, as long as we
Did I
raise our
hear a
membership.
point of information? No, okay.
No, the more members we have, the more people are likely to attend. I mean, that's.
Yeah, right. And also, it was a multi-pronged approach. Ted had a very strong strategy. Mimi had a strong strategy. Jennifer had a strong strategy. Alex had a strong strategy. Boomer had a strong strategy. Like everybody on that committee was using their tools and their resources to make things happen. I just pulled up my entire county you weren't supposed to talk to me. You're a solicitor. You know, because I was like, you didn't register yet, and I'm like, I'm not a solicitor. I'm selling freedom. Gosh darn it. You know? So I was mildly amused. They probably were not. They were in the middle of moving and stuff and busy with their day. But we turned around 4 people just calling people locally. So I think all of our multi-pronged approach is really paid off. And also reminding each other, like, get it done. And like, yeah, I should do that. And I'm like, yeah, you should. And then they get on it and everything. So I think that's, if we can continue that next year, maybe we can hit 200 attendance.
It's a election year.
Yes.
We're going to have candidates for governor, senator, and hopefully a lot of statewide offices as well.
And the last thing I do want to point out for the convention that's important that didn't happen but will happen is we made a lot of strong connections with Hollywood and some good people in the southern area. And so since the next convention will be in the southern area, I'm going to say this with confidence here on the record, that people like Drew Carey are active and want to be a part of this process. And being down there, him and his handler that we're working with are actually quite excited to be a part of the process next year. So having a marquee person like him, and then all the other people that follow as a result of him signing up. So that was something that we couldn't quite get over the goal line this time around, but he's still on the hook for next year, and he's still excited about doing stuff for next year. So people like personalities like that coming and speaking, regardless of how we feel about them, they bring in people, and that's what matters. And so, again, a side effect of this whole convention process and the work of everybody involved. So, Jennifer, I want to turn it over to her. I'm monopolized for time. If you have anything you want to add.
I will update. We had about 120 who registered to attend prior to the start of the convention. And, off the top of my head, I want to say probably at least 40 that we signed in in person.
Well, this is really by far the best one in a while then.
Yeah, so we'll have to run the exact numbers, but that's going to be my guess estimate of attendance. And, things on the floor ran incredibly smoothly. We didn't have really any hiccups in the front grudge, even with all the extra things Mimi and I were doing to get people signed in. Everybody seemed happy. We sold a lot. We sold out of all the banquets, and I believe we hit all the...
We technically oversold all the food,
Yeah, the banquets.
but there was enough there that nobody noticed.
Yeah.
Some people don't eat very much, so.
And so that, we hit those numbers. And so for the banquets, we sold everything online, and then we padded that number because we had to report that to the hotel in advance. It was 7 days in advance that they had to have a solid number. So we padded that with, I think, 15 for everything, and all of that sold out.
And by the way, there was people last night that came that wanted to buy banquet tickets, and we didn't have any more.
And that's a shame, because that's a
Yeah.
good
Even with the padding.
It's a little
So
bit of a good thing because a lot of scarcity. So the next time it comes around, you're like, man, I better get these.
They'll know better to sign
Sold
in
out
advance.
last year.
Yeah, because they wanted to buy
Oh, yeah,
tickets and they couldn't.
that's only going towards food tours. I guess that's an important thing. We had a requirement to hit $10,000 in food and beverage sales. So we definitely hit that number. Talking with the hotel and everything, we're over that number, so that's not another fee that's going to magically bite us in the face later.
That was like me saying, buy mixed drinks out there.
Expensive mixed drinks.
Each one of those counted, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, everything went smoothly. Everything with speakers went smoothly. Everyone seemed happy, at least from my perspective. Nobody came with me with any fires. And to me, that's a win.
Win for sure, because it seems like, you're right, the attitude here was very good, very positive. I think it's a fantastic convention. I've been to so many conventions. I've probably been to like 34, 35 conventions. Yeah, this is a real good one. And, last few years, last year was pretty good, but the previous years were really under attended, small, all that. So our speakers were great. Patrick Byrne and David Friedman. There's just some great speakers. It was. I think the people everybody liked that.
Well, I look forward to continuing my involvement in that. Robert and I have a lot of ideas. We'd like to push the envelope and get silly things like lock picking experts to come in and teach you guys how to pick locks.
Yes.
At
LPCon.
It brings awareness to different laws. It gives people something to do. So
is California law, sorry, we're taking up too much time here. California law specifically says as long as you're not in the midst of any malicious activity, burglar tools, as they're called, like lockpicks and stuff, it's 100% valid. You do not need to be a locksmith to own or possess or anything. And so, since you don't have to, the idea is we have like a lockpicking village, and people are like, this is what liberty is. They haven't gotten to this one yet and made it illegal yet. But when these things are legal and you can do these kind of things, you know, so it's just a way of showing like this is what liberty is all about, is that legally I can learn how to do a trade like this, and if I get locked out, I can get myself and not have to worry about it. Let them know which laws are not there yet, you know, is also a fun activity. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else?
I just also from a sponsorship standpoint, anything that was, I know that was something that was talked about.
Oh yeah. We didn't add the $3,000 for a sponsor, so we had a $3,000 sponsor. That's probably where you're pulling your numbers.
That's the difference, yeah.
So we had a $3,000. We asked for $9,000 from a sponsor, which would also include paying outright for our AV equipment. And after going back and forth, the negotiations broke down, and they said that it didn't make sense to them, and it didn't make sense to us to agree to some middle ground terms. So we cut purchasing AV equipment out of that sponsorship package, and that left $2,500 for the convention. They said, no, I'm not going to pay you $2,500. I'm going to pay you $3,000 instead. So they signed the paperwork for $2,500, and then $3,000 showed up in the bank.
Yeah, so that was excellent, and that's why we would be about even then, based on
Correct.
on that figure.
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, so there's a $3,000 sponsorship. Good eye. Thank you.
Exactly. Okay, are we done with convention?
Unless anybody has any further questions, we are done.
Okay, now that brings up the issue of Convention 2018 about calling for bids. Now, Gail Lightfoot wants to do that, I believe, and Jose is involved in that.
She actually presented an email.
Okay, I didn't see that yet, but.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, okay, well, Jose,
The Light Free Happy also fully supports Gail Lightfoot and Jose Castaneda bid for
okay, so the question comes in about whether we want to have a bid contract or putting it on ourselves again. Jose, what is your opinion?
Point of information before we get to that point,
Yeah.
if you may. Gail Lightfoot merely proposed the motions to do calls for bids, and that was approved. It's now is my understanding that this body now takes over. I don't understand why Gail's name is in the mix. She merely sponsored the motion, which
No,
passed.
Gail sent an email with a proposal for Oxnard.
Okay, that's the clarification I was looking
Yeah,
for.
no, she
Okay,
sent a
so
proposal for Oxnard.
okay, so Gail Lightfoot has.
I mean Ontario.
Oh.
Sorry.
So for the record, Gail Lightfoot. So for the record, Gail Lightfoot has submitted a bid proposal for Oxnard.
That's Ventura.
Ontario.
Oxnard is in Ventura,
Put
sorry,
it
I
on my
did mess
head.
up.
Okay, so
Not-
Gail
not
Lightfoot has
further
submitted a
down.
proposal already for 2018 for Ontario.
Yeah, I said the wrong thing.
And
Right now, myself, Gail Lightfoot, and Mike Everett, I will not get Bob Weber to assist us, and officially, I don't know, since yesterday, I don't know what Gail's done to the email, but I'll find out.
are you working with Gail, or are you doing a competing bid?
Myself, Mike Everett, and Gail are working together. As of yesterday, we're working together.
Okay, so it's
in
one
my
bid.
bid.
So it's, see, Ontario, that's Los Angeles, or they're one and the same, or are
Well, it's like east of Los
Los
Angeles, and
Angeles area.
there's an airport there in Ontario. It's like east of
Okay,
LA,
I'm just trying to
something
clarify
different.
this. We were hearing Los Angeles and Ontario.
Right,
I just wanted to clarify, so there's not competing, it is one
So
and the
you,
same.
sir, are working with Gail together and some other people to have a single bid that you'd like to submit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Only one, obviously.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you were doing one and she was doing one. You're saying you and her.
Yes, they're doing one.
Okay.
So the question will be then about whether we want to approve a bid, and so we'll probably discuss that in more detail in our next meeting.
Point of information,
Yeah.
I know it's not on the agenda here specifically, but I was asked something about, is there gonna be a bylaws committee?
Yes.
It's
So
not
there
on
will
the
be, but we
agenda
can,
today.
I think we should point that at our next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay.
I'll save this note for next meeting.
Blood hasn't even dried on the ground yet.
Yeah.
Have honor for the fallen.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so we'll pick up 2018 state convention mention next time. Financial Standards Committee, this is like the audit committee, and boy, is there plenty to audit. Though our new treasurer will be kind of doing that while trying to get everything up and running there. So the question is, are there any accountants or anyone that are not directly involved with anything who would be willing to serve? So recommendations are in order, and then we, of course, we have to ask them if they want to serve or not.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Bylaw 11, Financial and Accounting, Section 7. I just want to read this so we're clear. The Executive Committee shall select a Financial Standards Committee is the first sentence there. So this is not appointment directly from the chair, but
Exactly.
this committee.
Okay. Right. We have to find somebody who's willing to serve on the committee. Otherwise, just start randomly appointing accountants to the committee.
I understand. I just want to make sure that everybody here that's rather new understands that this is not a chair appointment committee. This is an executive committee that will select it.
Exactly. So recommendations are in order, or solicit people, solicit some accountants.
I would like to at least nominate our current treasurer.
That I don't believe is permitted.
I don't see it in the bylaw that it says if somebody can give me a point of information where it's not permitted.
It would work. Yeah, it would be, you know, a banker counting the money on one side of the thing and then counting it on the other side of the counter, right? You know,
I want to argue that since we have an outgoing treasurer and we have a new incoming treasurer, he is technically accounting the previous books.
That's actually
But his standards are going to have to change.
yeah, that's
So he's not accounting his own stuff.
Someone has to account for.
Well, here's a good idea. Well, here's an idea.
But you have to audit this
And then
procedure.
Well, here'd be the idea that we should,
so
Steve,
ideally, can I speak? I think, yeah, generally what financial standards does is it's just looking at the way things are accounted, the way things are handled, right? Going to the office, make sure there's a cash box, right? Is the key laying on the desk, right? You know what I mean? All the way up until you know what processes are you using, what schedule are you using, are these things getting done on time? That's what financial standards is for. It is not an audit of the books. It is not an audit of any detail. It is just an audit of the process.
it was an audit in the past, though.
It was an audit in the past. If it's changed.
it says here, point of information, the Financial Standards Committee shall review the financial records and process of the party and report its findings at each subsequent executive committee meeting.
Not just the records, though.
So it's financial records and the process. He's going to be doing that anyways, so it's duplicate effort if we have him doing it anyways and we have a committee doing it. I ask that the committee at least consider having him start with it, and then when we reconvene in 3 months, he could either step down or he could pass it to somebody else. But if he's doing that, I'd like it as the finance.
Can I
And
ask
there's
a
nothing in the
question?
bylaws that say we couldn't do that.
Can I ask a question to what Boomer was saying? I know that there are many standing resolutions that are in our operations manual that nobody seems to know what it is. Is that one of the things, because you said that's what it used to be, has that changed in
So,
procedures?
in the late 2000s, that all got changed over.
Would that be in the operating procedures, or would
I
that?
cannot tell you. I
in
remember
standing
the fight. I remember
resolution?
I was on the committee before and after. Right? You know what I mean?
Well,
I
I'm
saw
only
the
asking
changes
as a-
happen.
and truly, I'm just asking as a point of information, because I know that there are things
I'm
that have
speaking-
changed on the way we do
I'm
certain
speaking strictly from
things.
personal experience on
And
this
I'm just
and the way
wondering
we
where
did things in the
that's
past.
I was
It does
on
not
the-
necessarily have any
I'm sorry?
relevance to what's going on now.
I mean, there's crosstalk from the peanut gallery. I mean, finish your
That's
thoughts.
disrespectful. Who represents who here?
Well, I mean, just let the
One at a
executive
time.
speak.
Yeah, one at a time, please. Okay, Boomer?
The process used to be that we go down and make sure that the process. It used to be when I was doing it a number of years ago. Was go down and check the processes. Okay, do a little bit of research, make sure he's doing everything right, make see if he's filing things on time, that kind of stuff. Right? It was not an audit of the books themselves. Right? I think the books may have been added recently. Right?
And again, just not to interrupt, but that was my question, because it sounds like it possibly was changed.
I'm
Can
speaking
I-
strictly from experience.
Yeah,
So
no, but can I ask, if Matthew seemed to have knowledge of that, yes?
Yeah. So, there was a lot of argumentation over this because literally an outgoing chair had people at his heels wanting to look at the books, and it was pretty nasty back then. So there was an audit committee, and kind of at that changeover, there was some will to reduce the auditness of the audit committee so that it was a little bit less politicized and capable of hurting people for political gain. So if you follow that line and use your best judgment for what's right for your situations, I think you'll make good decisions.
Okay, so then, thank you for that, because then, that just, you're answering my question, so that helps me, because it seems like it is up to us to decide if we want to do a full audit type of thing or something other, and if we want it to be him basically auditing what the previous treasurer did, so.
In light of having a new treasurer, I move that we postpone this till our next meeting.
Second. Any objection to that? Any object? Okay. Discussion?
I would like to point out that the bylaw says that we're supposed to get this going in the first 3 months after a convention.
The next meeting should be within the next month or two.
Okay.
That will be met.
That will be met, okay. So, we already have,
We'll decide that in a few minutes.
okay,
Yeah.
so, all right, then I withdraw my objection.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, any objection to the motion now? Hearing none, adopted? Okay. So, we'll move on to the budget. Steve's prepared our 2017 budget. He has a 3-page report already. Unfortunately, that's the problem. We don't have something like that.
There is no budget. The book was produced at the end of 2016. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
So I don't see how it's possible to prepare a budget right now when I don't know what the books will look like. So
Let's defer that until the meeting.
yeah. Well, at this point, I have no idea at all what the books look like. As an example, when I took over the Taxpayers Association in mid-year, I can't remember, it was like June or July, the books made no sense. So I had to go back and redo all the transactions from the first of the year, just to have books that agreed with the bank, and I could run financial statements from, I think what you told me, the FDIC forms haven't been filed, they're not up to date.
August, is that right?
According to what said, yes.
Well, if those aren't up to date, I may have to go back to January 2016 from a larger organization, review everything, and probably end up redoing a lot of the transactions. So I have no idea at all what they look like, but the scope might be pretty long.
Okay, because I guess the two places to get the information would be A, the bank statements, which will be online, which you can look at, and B, neon records of when different contributions came in. Because the bank statement shows, for example, if like even one person joins by a credit card, there's so many entries because like $25 this day, it says that how much is coming into the account or whatever, and there's like lots of transactions because people are all joining at different times there.
But you don't always know who they're from.
Exactly. So
try to
neon
record
is
everything, and whether it's, when you see something coming in on the bank, you don't know whether, is this a donation, is this a membership,
Right.
is this a membership renewal? So
Right.
I need to get all that information, so I'll if it's
Exactly.
possible to dig it up and make it work, I'll figure
Right,
it out.
you'll get on, you'll get on Neon, and there's a daily called Auto Report. It says like who's, what's happened that day. I've been checking that out. So if I get 3 members or 6, or the day where the pledges go through, there's like 6 or 8 entries for that. So it's on a daily basis. So that can tell you which ones are coming through.
Well, I don't know if there's like a pile of paper or something someplace that has to be entered here, so I don't know.
Anything that's come in the mail, actually in the mail,
Very little comes in the mail.
has been
Point
entered,
of
and he's,
information, are we just assuming, has anybody talked to Gail that he's just not gonna cooperate and hand over all the records?
Well, no, we'll assume that he's going to cooperate. In fact, but we just haven't had much contact
Somebody
with him.
needs to contact him, so
Right,
is that gonna be
Steve might
him,
be a
or is
good
that
one.
gonna be you?
No, he doesn't talk to me. Steve would be good. Oh, okay. Just let him know what the result here was, and that Steve will be in touch with him about the transition.
Good,
Yeah, there's no evidence it's going to cause any problems with that. I mean, there's no reason for us to think there is. So, and if you didn't want to run it, yeah, he'll probably be glad to be rid of the burden.
Mom, I get friends.
Excellent. Yeah, please give him a call. Say that yeah, say to expect a call from Steve, and then let Steve know if you could. When that's
I'd like a nice handoff.
Right.
Most people are quite reasonable.
I think he will
It's like
be, yeah.
he's just, getting rid of the burden of being treasurer. It's like,
Yeah.
thank you, here's the stuff. It's always been, yeah, here's the stuff, go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get to that, yeah. So, yeah, it sounds like you'll work with Tyler and Gail and get it all squared away. And then, of course, if you have any questions about any nitty-gritty things, Alex Appleby and I have access to the database along with Mimi. All three of us can, one of us can work with you. If it's something Mimi doesn't know, Alex knows it. If Alex doesn't know it, I know it. So
Yeah.
we'll all work with you to get your information that you need as best as possible from now.
Like I said, I'm very picky. I want to make sure everything is in its category, everything is in its place, and I can push the button at any time, run reports that make sense.
Yeah, we'll all work with you to help get the right reports. Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay.
You have the support, sir.
Okay, next is newsletter. Elizabeth is going to give us some good news here.
Newsletter went out yesterday. I had hoped to get it out earlier, but things happen. So, I wonder how many people here who have smartphones all the time saw the newsletter.
Yes.
So not everybody.
I didn't get mine, but
Yeah, that concerns me.
Do you send it out to all of us, or?
Well, it goes to the list that's in Robley.
Pretty sure it's in my snap box.
Okay,
you can look
maybe.
there. If mine went there, I wouldn't see it on the phone,
Okay.
so that might be the case. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try to run it through spam likelihood checkers as a more regular routine. So I have one more. Ted asked me to do one more before the convention and one more after, and then that would close out the agreement that we had. So this body could decide whether to extend it, continue to do a new agreement, things like that.
Okay, then you were going to bill us for all of your
I
past.
do need to bill
efforts.
for all the rest, everything I've done. Yeah, I haven't billed yet. And then there is, I heard that Elizabeth getting paid came up earlier when I wasn't in the room. I'm not sure what that was, but I did have a vendor who wrote several articles. That was Sandra Callender.
That was what it was about.
And I did wind up paying her myself, and I will be including that as an expense when I bill for my stuff.
Okay, so
just
right now there's nothing outstanding?
For Sandra.
Technically, the invoice sent to Gail Morgan may still appear to be outstanding because I don't think Sandra wrote back to him saying paid in full after Elizabeth paid Sandra. So that's
I
an
understand.
awkward thing that I felt it was necessary to take care of.
I understand.
So-
No, and I just, like I said, the reason why I brought it up is I want to make sure what's happening, you guys make sure it got handled.
Yeah.
You guys have been jerked around left, right, and sideways.
Yeah.
We've got Stephen here who's going to do a bang-up job for us, and, letting him know what's going on, what to expect there, the
Right.
type of urgency that it is. I did not mean to carry you very.
Oh, yeah, no. So, yes, I need to get you the invoice.
Okay.
Administrative stuff is not my forte. So, getting the work done is what I like to do, and the administrative stuff is lower priority. But I do need to get that taken care of.
Okay. Next is the database. Now, since we have had any prior database discussions, Mimi has become secretary. Of course, the secretary is technically in charge of the database, so she's become involved in that process as well. But what we were doing previous to Mimi is we seem to have we have sort of like a parallel situation going on. We've got a database committee appointed by the executive committee working on some database solutions, but we also had Matt Barnes and his group who have already created part of a database, I believe. You can get more details on that, that have been actually working on that. Matt's probably is around here someplace. So we sort of have like a parallel situation going on there. So it's just a matter of discussing that.
Okay.
I could fill in for, he's going to want to talk about the technical stuff, but I can talk about it briefly. We've been using Civi CRM for our activities.
Who's we?
We is ethereal. It is not.
Well, I just want to clarify.
Is it for the record? Are you a policeman? Do I need to show you my papers? Or is we okay?
No, because we implies the party, but the party hasn't officially been using it for its records.
The not quite as royal we as the party has been working on the database quite fervently.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyways, we've made a number of tens of I think we're a little over 10,000 phone calls in the last 6 months. I don't know. I don't have that for sure. That's about right. Is that you, Jason? Somewhere in there? Maybe a little less. 8 to 10. 1,000 phone calls we've made over since Jerry Johnson ended. Way more than that? I don't know. There he is, database guy. So anyways, you've been using the CBCRM. It's fantastic. It's going to offer us a lot of great things, but I'm literally falling asleep at this table, and I'm glad Matt is here so he can talk to you about it in somewhat of a black and white way.
Okay, Boomer reported about around 10,000 phone calls have gone out, and how many people are in that database that you?
So the database between the data from the Johnson campaign is gathered by Robert and ourselves from our activities. The member list from national and the registered voter list gives us, I believe, 86,000 names in our database.
Oh, that's more than I thought. Okay.
Of those, we have about 35,000 that have email addresses.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
That did not come back bouncing at us or wish to opt out from the 4 or 5 emails that were sent out.
Right, but only about 5,000 people are even opening the emails?
Yeah, only it's actually a little bit lower than that. I think it's around 3,600, and I can look at that on my phone if it were charged. I'm sorry on that.
Yeah. So, would you say like repetition is probably important? Like, for example, we've like say we did a membership solicitation to this group, and like only 7 new members or something like that out of sending out to 35,000 people. So not a very good percentage, but obviously something. It doesn't really cost us anything. So
Well, for buying emails off of most of those are registered voter lists.
Right.
And not a very qualified list at all. So it's blasty.
Yeah, except for the national members who are in there. That's a group we should probably be more
Now,
aggressive.
CBCRM does give us a record for the contact. So if we wanted to look at responses from each of those guys, we could.
Okay. So then meanwhile, separately, there's the database committee. So
Yes.
what's going on with that?
Robert Imhoff, Database Committee Chair, as formed by this committee in November of last year. The people that are on the Database Committee currently are Gail Morgan, Alex Appleby, Tim Piera, and Jason Wu, Boomer Shannon, and myself as the chair of that committee. What we have done in committee was to look at the California Libertarian Party's official CRM membership database, which is NEON, and its deficiencies as outlined in several emails and personal communications with different people and publicly at the November meeting. So from that meeting, we were tasked to try and fix any glitches or problems or reporting with NEON. In addition, we were tasked to research if NEON should continue to be the single source of truth for membership within the Libertarian Party of California. We have taken on both of those tasks. We've had 5 meetings between the last executive committee meeting and this executive committee meeting. In those meetings, we have outlined the problems and deficiencies of the NEON system. We have identified tactical ones that we could fix there and now, and we have fixed those situations. Number 1, input. New members joining is now fixed. Making sure that pledges, I don't know if Mr. Dean is still present. He is not. Making sure that you pledge the no harm clause is, as a requirement is now fixed. Backlog of declined credit cards is now fixed. Thank you, Amy Robson. Fixing fields and what is a county affiliate and which field do we count for our counties to understand who is in your county is now fixed. We identified what was wrong and fixed what was wrong, and now we still have a few records.
Quick
that we're going-
information or
Yes.
question. So what did you fix on that? Because is it now that the member has to sign up with the county affiliation?
Yes,
That's
so
a
now,
required field? Okay.
when you sign up newly, you have to sign both county affiliate fields in our database, because we have 2. When you renew, you have to identify a county or no county, but you have to pick something.
Oh, okay, because some people like that New Jersey guy, Mr. Tom Mashewski, that came in from New Jersey, he doesn't have an account.
No, he does.
He does have an account?
Affiliated.
He has an account and
Oh,
he
no,
is
he's
affiliated and
affiliated. He's
humble, yes. And identified approximately 78 records that we still have to reconcile and determine if they are in fact no affiliate or if they did need to affiliate with something. This is down from approximately 278 records that were in this position. So counties, when they started getting reports, started reporting back, they're happy that the people that they know are members are now showing up in their reports.
Exactly. That came up originally with, we had hosted the electors last year, who were all supposed to be our members, and said where they live. And then Joe Dean brought it to my attention, wait a minute, this guy from San Jose, I don't know who he is, and I looked on the record and said, oh, he's been a member for the last 8 months or something. Well, why isn't he in my list? So that's when Mark Hinkle went in and started looking for all the people that didn't have counties listed, and that guy was one of them.
Yes, Santa Clara County, we had approximately 12 records throughout this whole process that we discovered were not properly categorized, as much as 2 records in the last month that we discovered. We have fixed the glitch that was causing this to happen, we think. Only time will tell if the glitch is fully fixed, but and then we'll resolve those 78 records, and we think the go forward is that's going to be a non-issue, and we can worry about other problems that we don't like with our current NEON database.
Right. Well, getting the people's credit cards properly credited is obviously an important one, because people probably thought for years that they were members, or something like they probably thought they were a member for years, but their credit card kept hitting decline or
Well,
something.
that's, yeah, I mean, just to answer, when I first started doing this, the number bothered me because there was 189 failed transactions that were just sitting there. So I just took it upon myself finally to go through them, started sending emails, and there's people, it's like, I thought I was a member, I didn't see that last year my $25, thing, but their membership's expired, so. And then also the same thing with the people that will be occurring.
Again, I think a round of applause is in order for Mimi for recovering $4,000 a year.
And a beer.
And a beer, probably.
The thing was the number, but it's like, why is this number so high, and why
So
has nobody looked at it?
So there's still work to do in NEON, and we still have outstanding issues that we have identified in NEON, and we'll continue to work on identifying those. I think if you want to know those nitty-gritty details, please engage me offline. I don't want to take up this committee's time with those nitty-gritty details, but I am welcome to feedback. The second part of the committee was to identify if NEON is probably not the best solution for us, what is, or is it? And if it's not, what is? And I think we said unanimously within committee that NEON is probably not the best source of information and source of truth for membership. NEON is designed as a nonprofit activities planning platform, not a political party engagement CRM or for political activities. They have bolted on stuff to the side to work with political parties, but that's not its main intent, and that's not what the company sells it for. In addition, they charge us $178 a month for the privilege of using a system that's not designed for parties. So with that said, we determined in committee that we should have a bake-off and identify all CRM systems out there and whittle it down based on success criteria. In committee, we determined over 28 different success criteria of what makes a good CRM system for a political party. We then went out to the market and said, based on this 28 criteria, what looks good? We found approximately 8 different CRM solutions that kind of met the bill, and then once we applied success criteria to them, we have whittled them down to 3. Do you want to say 3, or do you want to say 4?
We were even close off, so.
Okay, so 3. So we whittled them down to 3 solutions that we feel as a committee would be best. We could redeploy NEON in a more practical way and use its bolt-on. It's not perfect, it doesn't meet all the success criteria, but if we export the data out of NEON and have a new account and import it into the new account, with us as a political party in mind, we can do a better job, and then people who already know NEON, who are familiar with it, can continue using it, but in a more productive fashion. The second one is looking at city CRM. We have a lot of talent in-house within the party that's very familiar with city CRM, and it meets a lot of the requirements of our success criteria. And then the third solution that we are putting forward for further exploratory consideration is Nation Builder. This is used by a lot of people's individual political campaigns. It was used by the Gary Johnson campaign. Nationally uses Nation Builder, and so that's why it kind of we're comfortable with saying that we'd like this body to agree that these three are excellent choices to have whittled down to, and to continue doing a bake-off of these three solutions. And the winner of this bake-off will be the one that we'll actually use for the party membership. That is the recommendation from the committee.
A question.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that how easy is it to if you deselect Neon, how easy is it to transfer the data to Civi, CRM, or Nation Builder?
Well, we have not gotten that far. We have to actually, what we're asking for is for people to present us with a workable Civi CRM and a workable Nation Builder. We will export the data as part of our testing within committee and import it in there, and then be able to report back the findings of how easy it is to import the stuff. We also have business requirements that say once it's imported in there, we have several different tasks you need to complete, and we rate on a scale of 1 to 5 of how easy it is to complete said task. And then that way we can come back and say, this system is very easy to import records, this one it's hard, this one you can import with all these different formats, this one not as many. This one you have templates and it's very easy to send emails. This one also has templates and it's also easy. So we want to be able to build a matrix between these three. Or if you can tell me right now, this executive committee is more than welcome to say, don't even look at Neon, only focus on Civi and Nation Builder. We can do that, it makes our job easier. But what we're looking for is for you to agree that this is the right path for the party, or to say, you know what, there's a solution that's already been presented for some time now, scrap the committee and just go with that solution. And I think that would be taken up to vote or something, but I'm just giving you, as the chair of the committee, the report and the findings that we have.
Okay, let me go to Mimi, since she's technically in charge of the database by virtue of being secretary.
Yeah, I actually just had a couple questions. First of all, Matt, when you were talking about Civi CRM, and I have used Civi CRM a little bit for my campaign, my biggest question is, so you were talking about the database that you've built with 35,000 email addresses and the 80,000, but for the stuff that we need to do day-to-day for membership, have we included just that membership information for that part of it?
No, to tell you the truth, there was office volunteers that we were concentrating on soliciting people to come to events. So we have membership information in there, but it wasn't meant to try to do a membership database. When we approached this, we knew that this would work as a membership database and be customizable for the party's processes and be adaptable for changing processes. But we didn't concentrate on trying to make it a membership engine, as it were. We wanted to empower Ted right away with being able to get mailers out and to track the success of those mailers. So we concentrated on that.
Okay, and that's kind of what I understood, which is why I asked the question. So as far as the database for the membership at this point, there are certain things that we need to be able to do with that. So I think yours right now is really powerful for all of the mailing and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering what what would it be like to make it do what we needed to do for
Yeah, may I
membership?
make a recommendation? Well, I have a recommendation, but if you have a comment, why don't you do it first?
Well, so due calls for this convention, we actually exported the list from Neon into CVCRM to do exactly same calls. So I think.
But I'm not actually asking about calls. I'm asking about the membership.
Yes,
Being able to use authorize.net through it, being able to take payments, being able to update. For me, being able to export by county the membership for each county, the stuff that by the bylaws
So I can answer.
I'm supposed to do.
I can answer that a little bit better. It's not ready to do that right now.
Okay.
It could be made to do that fairly quickly if we put. We've got some really talented people that could just kind of buckle down, and they work really well as a team, and maybe customize it.
And I'm asking the question also kind of because, I don't know what the full body is going to decide. So,
Sure. No, I'm just.
so I don't want you to do more work on something
Only saying
that's.
what's possible.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I would recommend right now that perhaps this body doesn't make a decision, because I think that the volunteer group and the database committee have some negotiations to do. work out what our views are, because we haven't gone over the report, and they haven't really gone over city CRM. I'd like to do that a little bit informally before we take it up formally, if we can.
Okay,
And that
So
would- and
next
that would
meeting?
be-
Yeah, we don't have to do it
Then
for.
I just have one question as far as the database currently. So for the database committee, and I just want to understand this because I think you've said this in the past, the database committee is twofold. It's supposed to be helping with the current database, and it's also supposed to be looking at this bake-off thing. So in the meantime, it sounds to me like we're going to be using Neon for a while until this stuff, no matter which way we go.
Can we
it's-
do it for one quarter?
Yeah, so that,
If you
so
guys
just
don't
as
wanna
long
bear
as,
that, there's
as
a
long as, you
discussion.
know, with the database committee, if something comes up that there's a problem that they know Neon better than me or Steve or something, that we can get some support there, because it sounds like there's ways to tweak things, so.
Sounds to me like Robert's got a great
Yeah,
handle on Neon.
so can I just make a motion that we put this off until they've done their
Oh, sure, no, there's no motion on the floor right now.
oh,
I
okay,
think
so I just say that we just
Oh,
stop this conversation.
Before you make your motion, if I
Okay.
can make a point of information.
Sure.
I mean, before you put that motion forward, I would like, as the database chair, to at least get a decision from this body if this database committee should exist. And if the two canons of its existence are correct.
Well, I think the two issues are, A, should we keep Neon, and if not, what should we do instead? Obviously, those are the two solutions. Okay,
Because right now, we're flying by the seat of our pants and not knowing, like, if we should put all this work and effort in. I just want an endorsement from the executive committee to say the database committee should exist, and in its capacity to exist, it should support fixing our existing CRM and/or continue this bake-off. I think the key thing is do I need to continue this bake-off, or do you need me to cut bait on that?
And that was what I just said. I said that.
Well, hang on, that was just my point of information. I know you're about to make a motion, I
No,
wanted to
this
ask.
isn't my motion,
No, we
so
didn't have to
I'm
do
answering your point of information of what I just said.
Oh, I see, go ahead,
Okay,
go
what
ahead.
I just said is that, what it sounded like to me is that there needs to be maybe some talking going on for that bake-off, so can we put that portion of the bake-off off? But my question was, can the database committee still be involved with Neon doing that, whatever quirks we need to do, because it sounds like for sure, if nothing else, we're gonna be using Neon for another quarter.
So then when I think I'm
So
hearing
what I'm
you
saying is, can
ask
we
is,
put on, keep the database committee, I'm not saying get rid of it, that's not my motion, I'm just saying, can we hold off on the determination from
right,
any
so,
further bake-off?
so if I may, repeat back to you, what I think I'm hearing is you'd like to make a motion to suspend the bake-off until the next meeting?
Well, I don't know, does that require a motion?
No, I don't think so. Just the committee can be working on Neon during this next period. I mean, that's not, you're not
So
mandated
you would like
to do.
me to use my discretion as the database chair to just stop working on the bake-off portion for the time being?
For the time being, right, because again, the committee can
Yeah,
work on
I
whatever
work
they
at the
want.
behest of this committee, so
Right.
if that's your recommendation, then I will take that recommendation and suspend the bake-off, yeah.
But,
Why, I mean, just curious, why are we even just trying to postpone the bake-off?
I have no
Well,
idea.
okay,
I'm just
and
taking
again-
recommendations from this
Yeah,
committee.
I think it's.
can I clarify what
Yeah,
I
but,
said?
yeah.
I never said suspend the bake-off per se, see, that keeps getting put into it.
Sorry, yes.
What I said is that what it sounded like to me was, that there's, right now, there's some things that possibly, outside of this body,
Okay.
the two factions that we've just talked about, we could get together and figure out how they can maybe talk.
I think what's going on here is that that Robert would like the committee to make a decision on that, and others are asking for it to be talked about outside and informal,
And
right?
that's-
And that's the question right now, is it something you guys want to do? I would not recommend do that. There's lots of activists you guys have already pissed off by putting a database on top of a database committee on top of a database. Let the two parties work this out in private, or not in private, but away from the committee, and come back and make a good recommendation
That's
for
all
you
I was
guys.
saying, is rather than try to get this worked out right this second, it
I don't
sounds
think we
like
can do that.
we're not gonna be able to do that. So I'm not saying suspend anything, I'm saying let's just put this on hold. Not get rid of it, not disband
Okay.
the database.
Have to work on
committee.
Neon.
Just put this
I
on
will
hold for
continue to
this.
work on Neon, and it will continue to be active in that capacity. I just need to know when I have my next database committee meeting if I'm gonna be discussing anything before I sort out things with other people within the party.
You can discuss anything
Yeah,
once
you
you're the
can still
You
discuss.
you still have the meeting as you normally would. You talk about things, you worry about the neon stuff.
Okay.
I,
I
point
think-
of information.
I think Bruno was waiting.
So are we talking now, when we were talking about bake-off, is this CDCRM and Neon and or other third parties, or?
As it stands today in the committee, we have three choices that we would like to test and bring a recommendation back to this committee. Reintroducing Neon, migrating everything from Neon to City CRM, or migrating everything from Neon to Nation Builder. That is where we have landed. And in committee, I have suspended currently for the last 3 weeks any bake-off discussions, so we could be here today to say, should I even waste any more time with the bake-off? Should I suspend the bake-off for another 3 months, and then we work on these things? And then come back and say, okay, we talked about everything, and now?
I don't think so. I think that it sounds like the bake-off, if we're talking about behind the scenes or whatever you guys working it out, as Boomer's talking about, that to me sounds like an unofficial bake-off, with at least with not including Nation Builder.
Let me
So
just have
it
one
makes
last
sense to
point.
have all three options on the table going at the same time.
I think
Yeah.
Alex had a point of information he's been waiting.
Yeah, I would just recommend that the chair of the database committee, along with Boomer, be in communication with the leader of the volunteers and talk between outside the meeting, and we figure it out, and then we can
But
figure out
why
this.
do that when we can just use the committee to force volunteers to do something?
Because I think we should communicate.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
And
That-
again,
That's all I'm recommending, let's
And can I
communicate,
make one more
and then
quick
if we
comment?
can't communicate by the next committee, then we can.
Okay, that's fine. And then David, you had
I'll just say, my point of information is, I believe Mimi is saying that she just wants to make sure the priority is helping her with Neon,
Yes,
not,
okay.
so both, there's
Thank
like.
you.
yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
nobody's listening to this.
Right,
think
I
that's
got that
What
from
I,
there.
what
I
I,
got that.
Many
that-
agendas
so
being
let me
pushed.
just clarify what I'm saying.
If you're
I'm saying
repeating
in
it,
this
say it.
interim,
Yes.
I would like that we get help with Neon.
Yep.
And the other thing I was just kind of saying is the fact that currently Matt has said that CBCR has not been made to fit all of the bells and whistles of what our membership needs because of
Okay.
the fact that he doesn't want to put volunteers on it till there's some discussion.
Okay.
So that's all I was, I
Okay,
wasn't
then I
saying.
can agree with that,
I
yeah.
wasn't
Okay.
saying get rid of everything, I wasn't saying throw the baby out with the bathwater, I was
Okay.
just saying,
Where
let's
we-
take it off from here, because we've spent way more than
Then-
10
then,
minutes.
Exactly, we're having
the-
a meeting pretty soon,
As the
so-
chair of the database committee, I will corroborate with whom?
Collaborating me?
Yeah, thank you, collaborate. It's getting late.
Well,
I will
Okay, all I'm
collaborate with
saying
whom?
is that it sounds like,
What
Mr.
did you
Chair.
do with the chair later?
Well, actually,
Mr. Chair,
Worked out.
Mrs.
That's
Chair.
not obvious.
Orders of the day.
Okay.
So the orders of the day, or what do you want me to do?
Mimi
No,
is in charge,
but
Mimi's
Mimi-
technically in charge of the database,
not
so
what
we're
the
leaving
orders
it
of
to
the
you to discuss this with these.
You want the gavel, run for chair.
Okay. We can talk about it later, but Mimi's technically in charge of the database by being the secretary.
Okay, so you're asking me to work with,
no, I'm
with
saying
the
that we spent
database
far more
with you
time
further.
than we need to in this
Right.
body right this
Yes,
second.
so,
You
okay.
want help with
And he
Neon?
I'll
calls
talk
for
with you
orders of the
offline
day.
about this then, yes.
Exactly, because he just called for
Okay.
orders of the day, so.
Okay,
that's all.
we're done.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
And we're gonna have to adjourn soon, I've gotta get to the
Mr.
airport
Chair.
pretty soon, so, yes, Boomer.
I would like to postpone the website to the next meeting.
Very good. Is there any objection to that?
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
I would like to move to set the next meeting to June 10 in Monrovia, starting.
Oh, we just heard that the Liplac convention is probably gonna be June
Be
10th.
held, 90% is gonna be June the 10th.
90%?
90%, sure.
Yeah.
June, what day, 10th?
Yeah.
Is there any way, so can we move it to a Sunday then?
Oh, the Sunday?
Yeah, you guys come on down.
The XCOM for the Sunday?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Mr. Chairman,
So June 11th?
I would like to propose that our next executive committee meeting meet in the Monrovia office, June 11, 10 a.m.
Sunday, June
Second.
11th. Is there any objection to that?
No.
Okay, now, Brent, I noticed that you were speaking to Stephen Blakeman this whole time. What did you?
No, I haven't been able to get a hold
Oh,
of
okay.
him, unfortunately.
Okay, well,
I'm gonna try calling him later.
okay, we can discuss that as.
Yeah, I've tried to get a hold of him, but he hasn't responded, so I'll try calling him.
Okay, now we can, I believe, we can deal with the candidate support committee appointments. Say, for example, if he resigned, I mean, the operations committee even could appoint a new treasurer, because I was going to appoint the candidate support committee.
Mr. Chair,
So, based on that, so we'll
I
know
move
that.
we adjourn.
Okay, so, the motion is to adjourn, is there any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you all very much. I think it's going to be a great committee.
Yes, sir. I'm still learning.
Welcome to the new members here, yes.